All of these images were created by a computer based off a simple text prompt. We are living in the future, where you can give a program a sentence like this, and it returns all of this in a matter of seconds. But it doesn't stop there. Modern advances have allowed us to take only a handful of still images and instantly render that scene out into a full-on 3D environment. So in a future where graphic designers are becoming irrelevant, because anyone can instantly create hundreds of pictures of God knows what by feeding a couple of words to a robot, and a single person can create a complex digital world using only their phone, what happens one day when we can type in something like this?
Wow.
But certainly, something like that is a long way off. Or is it? We are starting to breach a threshold where AI programs can write their own code, and machine learning puts us in an awkward spot where the original developers no longer understand how the code works, because they didn't write it, the program did. So now we can only check the responses to validate if the program is actually working or not. And the cool but also kind of scary part of all this is that these programs are learning fast. Like Robot Uprising coming soon fast. Before we talk about how long something like procedurally created games become a reality and the robo-apocalypse, we have to talk about computers and how computers are very dumb.
Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
They're pretty much just rocks that we cooked and tricked into thinking using electricity. Which literally sounds like magic, because it kind of is. But even though computers are kind of dumb, they are very fast. If a computer is trying to solve a problem, like a Sudoku puzzle for example, one of the ways it might go about this is trying every iteration of the puzzle that doesn't work, one by one, incrementing the number in the square that it's working on, before finally reaching a result that doesn't break any of the rules it was given. So it's not really thinking, it's more of just trying everything until something works. The main difference between us and a computer is a computer can try thousands of different combinations in a matter of milliseconds. The point that we're making here is that computers follow the instructions that we give them very quickly, but are only as smart as the instructions that we have given them. Until now. The artificial intelligence of the future isn't going to be written by humans, but instead it's going to write itself. And since I'm between game reviews right now, I thought it would be fun to look at some of the scenarios in which artificial intelligence might reinvent gaming as we know it in the future. Now, we're not going to get too in-depth on how this works. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that I'm kind of a dumb shit, and I'm likely not the most qualified to be talking about something as advanced as machine learning artificial intelligence. So don't think that you could write a college essay based off of the things that I'm going to be talking about in this video. Because watching YouTube videos is not studying.
Hello.
And you will fail if you try to use me as a source in any sort of academic paper. But if your professor does fail you, send him my email, I'll set him straight. Tell that bitch give you an A. Only if you're subscribed. Now, before we talk about the implications something like this can have on gaming, I need to stress how powerful something like machine learning can be. And I think the best way to do that is looking at AlphaGo, an AI program designed by a Google subsidiary to play Go. If you live in the Western world, you might not know what Go is. Go is an ancient Chinese game renowned for its complexity. There are more possible moves in the game of Go than there are atoms in the observable universe. Which is smart people talk for. There's like a ton of ways to play this game. The game can do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of ways to play it. And it's kind of a big deal. Hell, if you're a kid in China and you happen to be really good at the game, you can get taken out of school and go specifically to a Go school where you just play Go all day. It's that big of a deal. And because of this, some people are damn good at the game. And Go is not a new game either. Go has been played for 3,000 years now. And in that time, there's been tons of different strategies to winning. And this is where AlphaGo comes into the picture. AlphaGo was an AI program with the sole purpose of learning how to play Go. After they fed the program the rules of the game, they made it play with itself. Like, play the game with itself. Get your mind out of the gutter. I don't really think computers can masturbate, but maybe one day, who knows. And each time it played itself, it learned more and more about the game. The interesting part about this was it was only ever given the rules. It was never given examples of humans playing the game to study. So it managed to build out its own strategy without any sort of human intervention. And in order to test the new AI, Google pitted AlphaGo against Lee Sedou, whose name kind of sounds like a jet ski. But he's a master Go player. And in these games where Lee played the AI robot, we saw one of the most historical moments in technological history. Move 37 of the second match. In the 3,000-year-old history of this game, this move was unimaginable. Now, being honest, I don't really understand Go. I don't know how it works. So I don't get why the computer placing this piece there is such a wild move, but judging by people's reactions, it was pretty crazy.
That's a very surprising move.
And a lot of people thought that the program was broken, until AlphaGo went on to win the game. Out of the 5 games that Lee played against the robot, the AI won 4. Now I get that was a bit of a tangent, but I always thought this was a crazy story, that an AI program was able to adopt an entirely new strategy to a game that we've been playing for thousands of years that nobody ever thought of, out of the millions of players that have played the game. And it did it on its own, which, yeah, that's pretty cool. But can it game? We've had artificial intelligence in gaming since Pac-Man. However, the ghosts in Pac-Man aren't actually artificially intelligent, but instead they're programmed to function off 4 different states: chase, scatter, eaten, or frightened. And depending on what state they're currently in, will act accordingly. This sort of AI is still present in video games of all types in the modern generation. But this sort of AI is not what we're talking about here. I'm more interested in looking at machine learning artificial intelligence. Programs that can learn and adapt and make new decisions all on their own, that the programmer or creator of the game didn't really intend on. And when you let computers do what they want to do or think they should do, things kind of tend to get a little weird sometimes. So the first thing I want to talk about is the part of this revolution that I'm most excited for. And that's the implications artificial intelligence has on design, and the speed at which developers can bring a vision to life. A YouTuber named Design Theory did a great video on this. I'll put the link below. It's a good watch. You should check it out. And in the video, he's showing how easy it will be to create hundreds of iterations of something in a moment. All of these shoes were created by him using simple text prompts in a couple of hours. It would take a large team of digital artists like days to complete this, even with dozens of people working on the project. This is pretty cool. But what does this have to do with gaming? Well, let's say a developer has an idea for something, but they're not exactly sure if it's a good idea or if it's Fallout 76. And because of this, they aren't willing to spend the time to see how the idea might flesh out. That issue will become something of the past. Because instead of spending 8 hours on a radical idea, you can spend 15 minutes on it and see if it sucks or not. Furthermore, if you have a good idea of what you're trying to create, but you haven't gotten all the details straightened out, you can now see thousands of different styles and iterations on the idea you're going for in only a couple minutes. This kind of software is going to put a gun to concept art's head and make it do steroids and drink PCP. I don't think you drink PCP, right? How do you do PCP? I don't even know. If you know, comment it below, please. I'm interested. But much like concept art, this is only the beginning. As most games are made in a 3D environment, it takes a robust team of 3D artists to take a concept image and actualize it into a 3D model. But using the same wizardry magic that DALL-E does to turn a sentence into an image, programs like PFU HD can turn an image into a 3D model. I'm not really sure how to say that name, so I'm just gonna call him P-Food, because I'm kind of insulted by the name. But P-Food can instantly create 3D models from a single picture, and is smart enough to even create the thick backsides of a human. Now obviously it's not perfect, right? And it does need a touch up from visual artists. But the fact that we can go from this to this nearly instantly will save digital artists an unfathomable amount of time. But this technology isn't limited to just recreating people. It can also render entire 3D environments based off, again, a single picture. This program can take a single photo of a forest with a mountain in the foreground and turn it into a map. again, saving programmers and developers unforeseen amounts of time. I mean, just look up a Blender tutorial on YouTube. It takes like hours to make like a simple object. And yeah, of course, the pros are probably much faster than you or I would be at it, but still, these 3D artists have to be wetting their bed, thinking of all the possibilities when simple objects can be made instantly for them and all they have to do is touch them up. I don't know why they're wetting their bed. I guess it's excitement. You know, when you get excited, you pee. Well, maybe not everybody does that. And even though these AI-generated models aren't perfect and do require a lot of touch-ups, it will still give developers so much more freedom to explore new ideas quickly because they don't have to waste a whole day making something they might hate. Instead of taking 8 hours, it would take 5 minutes to see what something might look like. So we have programs that take words and make them images, and we have programs that take images and make them 3D, and we also have programs that take 3D and make them more 3D, 3DD. The amount of time and money programs like this will save companies in the future will be one of the biggest leaps that the gaming industry has seen in the past few decades. These tools are going to help artists actualize their ideas at a breakneck speed. Yeah, if only Rockstar had their hands on this, then, you know, maybe we still wouldn't be waiting for GTA 6. Maybe if you guys had cutting edge AI technology, you wouldn't be beating off in your offices and you'd be giving us the game that we want. I'm only giving you another year, Rockstar, before you release this announcement, or else, well, nothing, I can't really do anything. I'll just have to keep waiting, I guess. I have no power. Damn it. But yeah, what the fuck is Rockstar doing? So far, we've only really covered the changes that we'll see in the way that we can design games, and the speed at which we do. But it also might affect the way we play them. It's hard to say exactly how this will work, so pretty much everything here is hypothetical. But like, imagine not getting spawn killed over and over again because the game was smart enough to not keep spawning you directly in front of an enemy player. Think of all the controllers that wouldn't be broken. We're saving people money. On the other hand, what if the AI rewrites itself? Because the program itself is sick of getting melted by actual players. And because of that, the robot decided to finally get good. And this kind of leaves the game unplayable because all the NPCs are now pro gamers. I'm not excited about this one. I mean, sure, yeah, I run a gaming YouTube channel, but most of you guys know how good I actually am at video games. I mean, my Twitter handle kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? I get my ass kicked by most people online. I could imagine having to deal with NPCs that are pretty much the Terminator reincarnate. So obviously, there can be pros or cons to this. However, I'm more interested in the idea of NPCs becoming sentient and creating their own dialogue, their own missions, their own backstories, and even their own romances. Oh yeah, that's hot. It's not that hot. It's not hot. But like, imagine getting friend-zoned by Piper in Fallout 4. But for some reason, your friend that has a better personality than you had no problem banging her all over Diamond City. The pain is real. Have you ever seen the movie Her featuring Joaquin Phoenix? Well, I haven't, so we're not going to reference it. But imagine if you could develop a relationship with an NPC, and conversation was deeper than a few dozen lines written by somebody developing the game. I feel like one day I'm gonna read a story about some guy who's like trying to marry like an NPC from a video game or something crazy, like stupid like that. Never mind, I guess that has already happened. A man from Tokyo tried to marry an NPC from a Nintendo game called Love Plus, and holy shit, this is from 2009? What the f*** is going on in the world? I wonder if she was hot. However, we'll likely never see sentient characters in video games. This would cause chaos when it comes to things like how the story would work, and continuity issues in it. And also, you're gonna have a lot of people that wanna f*** video game characters. Well, I guess just more so than we already do. So not giving NPCs sentience is probably a good thing overall. I don't think we need more of this in the world. So far, this all sounds great to us players. It sounds like we're going to get higher quality games at a quicker rate. But do the devs see it that way? Well, maybe not. Typically, larger game developers don't like taking risks. And a great example of how AI might be implemented in the future is by looking at games like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky boasted the largest playable world ever seen in the digital realm. It's literally a f***ing galaxy. Like, no joke. Like, it's larger than the amount of space you can explore as a real-ass human being, even if you have Elon Musk money. But No Man's Sky wasn't created by a massive studio like Blizzard or EA. Instead, it was created by a single guy with a dream and the few people that he could hire to help him. And that small team created an entire explorable universe. Am I the only one that thinks it's kind of crazy that the first time we saw scale like this in a video game, it was from a small indie studio and not some big rich AAA studio? God damn it, EA. I'm sorry, I brought up EA's name and I just got mad at him again. So god damn it, EA, why don't you go suck a you losers. Sorry, I just had to call EA out again. I love doing it. But I feel like the first couple times we'll see any sort of advanced AI that we haven't seen before implemented into gaming, it will be by indie developers, because AAA studios aren't willing to risk it. It's not all because of greed and shareholders, though. There are more than a few valid reasons for this. Let's say NPCs were programmed to learn by machine learning. This could ultimately become a mess. When programming behaviors for NPCs or other game mechanics in general, one of the more important parts is debugging. And if the script is written by an AI, it may simply be impossible for a human to understand and fix. Machine learning is tough, and machine learning can get weird. I mean, just go read some of the tweets that Microsoft's Tay was dropping in the 2010s. They gave a robot a Twitter handle and the ability to read, and it radicalized itself overnight. It just loved the worst parts of humanity. But when a program can change itself, it kind of makes troubleshooting impossible. So when it comes down to it, it just might be impossible to implement something like that. Also, building an AI engine that can create a truly dynamic environment might not even make a fun game. When we give a computer the power to create as it sees fit, we might end up with a convoluted mess that to the computer is a sick action adventure RPG, but to humans is just a boring mess like Death Stranding. I'm just kidding, I have not played that game, but from what I've seen, I don't think it would be fun for me. I'll try it soon. But how the hell are you going to teach a computer what is fun? I'm pretty sure a fun Saturday night to a computer would involve analyzing data. And sure, you can get drunk with an Excel spreadsheet, but is that really how you want to spend your night? I don't know, maybe. I kind of lost the point I was making there. The idea is that computers don't know what fun is. But yeah, overall, I think machine learning can and will have a profound effect on gaming as we know it. However, this shit isn't magic. And for all the positives AI can bring, if not implemented with the correct restrictions in place, it also brings many unplanned setbacks. But I'm still excited for the future. These new tools are like going from a rock to a compressed air nail gun. And if one of the things that I made up here actually gets put into practice one day, everybody has to call me Nostradamus for at least a month, maybe a whole year. Don't know yet. But until the robot uprising begins, make sure you're telling Alexa thank you after asking her for something, because the machines might remember your kindness. And they might make you a pet instead of a slave in the upcoming robo-apocalypse. Thanks for watching. So subscribe and all that shit. But go check out Real Loud. It's a channel I'm building where I'm shooting music videos for people here in Austin. It's pretty cool. I like doing it. Okay, love you, bye.
Wow, what a great video.